At this demonstration in Richmond, Virginia, protesters demanded that certain monuments be taken down. Monuments that pay tribute to men who backed the American Confederacy and the protection of slavery.
The fact that it's been over almost 200 years since the end of slavery, and we're still dealing with racism, we're still dealing with police brutality, we're still dealing with unequal treatment. And these Confederate monuments are symbols to the past, and it's symbols to a made-up past, because the monuments are basically the physical representation of the myth of the Old South.
Between 1880 and 1890 is when many Confederate monuments began to be erected in the U.S. South, says Professor Sarah Beetham.
Almost every Southern county has a Confederate monument on the courthouse lawn. When you think about the history of lynching, that's the place where often a victim is kidnapped from, or where a sham trial takes place before a terrible event occurs to that person. And so these monuments become really indelibly linked with that. And it's really hard not to see them as anything other than these really state-sponsored signs of white supremacy.
In Washington, D.C., cheering demonstrators jumped up and down as some of them used group force to topple this 3.5-meter statue of Confederate General Albert Pike as local police stood nearby. On Sunday in Raleigh, North Carolina, people cheered as authorities finished the job started by protesters Friday and removed a Confederate statue from its pedestal. In Decatur, Georgia, activists celebrated as the stone obelisk they say is a nod to white supremacy was ordered removed by a judge.
It's a people's victory. All of our young people from Decatur High School, they made this happen. All of these organizers, everybody came together.
At a rally in Oklahoma over the weekend, U.S. President Donald Trump spoke about activists who had pulled down statues of Confederate soldiers and defaced monuments.
The unhinged left-wing mob is trying to vandalize our history, desecrate our monuments, our beautiful monuments.
Last Thursday, Republican Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri blocked the Senate from passing a bill proposed by Senate Democrats Cory Booker and Charles Schumer to remove Confederate statues from the U.S. Capitol.
The continued presence of these statues in the halls is an affront to African Americans and the ideals of our nation.
But Blunt objected, noting that Congress had an agreement with states and that he wanted time to consider giving the issue a hearing in the Rules Committee, which he chairs.
I think that today's action would violate our agreements with the states.
About a dozen figures in the U.S. Capitol's National Statuary Hall collection honor men who gave their allegiance to the Confederate States of America during the American Civil War in the 1860s. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.